I live with a Christian family, and I'm trying to fix my sleep habits. When I am awake, they ask me questions and bug me during my meditation. If I ignore them, they get mad. What should I do? It's an odd sort of question. I think we need a little more information. The feeling I'm getting is that you're maybe you sleep all the time because when you're awake they ask you questions, and you want to stop that, but you don't want to be awake because they ask you questions. I'm not quite sure how to answer. I mean, the second part's quite easy to answer, but the whole thing about the sleep habit seems like a bit of a non sequitur, or I don't quite see how the sleeping habits relates to people making you mad. Except maybe you can't sleep because they're always bugging you. So how do we answer this? If people bug you when you're awake and when you're practicing, no, they ask you questions when you're awake and bug you during your meditation. If you ignore them, they get mad. What should you do? Well, when people ask you questions, that's a wonderful thing, I think. I think the bad part is when people stop asking questions, when there is no dialogue. And I assume eventually you'll come to that once you're able to answer their questions and ask your own questions. Because they won't be able to answer your questions, but through the practice you should be able to answer their questions. I see. You're usually up at night and trying to make it during the day. They are up during the day. When I practice during the day, they ask me questions about what I'm doing and why. They don't like me practicing. Well, you're practicing to make yourself a better person, no? You're practicing to clear your mind, to calm your mind. If they're Christians, they should understand, because Jesus himself went off into the jungle and practiced meditation. But of course, they have, I suppose, different ideas and theories about it. I think you can take that route with them, especially if they're getting angry at you. I mean, you stick with your answers that you're doing it to become a better person because you have anger inside and you have aversion towards things like people bugging you. You have attachments and delusions and so on. I mean, you admit this to them and tell them that that's why you're practicing, because when you practice, it helps you to learn about yourself. It helps you to see what's causing suffering, and once you see what's causing suffering, to change yourself and to become a better person. And then if they argue with that, well, you can always answer their questions to a certain point. If their questions just become silly, then you can just ignore them. And when they get angry at you, I mean, that's at least you've made it clear that this is what you're trying to do away with. So then you can ask them, so when you're angry at me like this, how does it feel? Do you feel good being angry like that? Does it make you satisfied to get angry like this? How do you feel when you're angry? And the idea is that they will be able to answer that it's not pleasant, but that's not the point. The point is you're making me angry, and you can say, well, I can't make you angry, just as you can't make me angry. The anger comes from within yourself, and it comes from your inability to, or your preference for something else, your inability to bear what's going on, and it's a cause of suffering. And that's why I'm practicing meditation. This is why I'm practicing meditation, because I understand that Anger is something that brings suffering. It's something that's useless. It brings conflict. Anger is something that causes suffering in others, causes stress and destroys friendships, destroys family bonds, and so on. So you help them to see what's really the problem. The problem isn't that you're not Christian or not practicing the teachings of Jesus Christ. The problem is that we all have defilements. If we didn't have defilements, there would be no problems. But as far as your sleeping habits, it's not a real problem. In the worst case, yeah, you could just sleep all day and stay up all night and avoid argument. But you should make it clear to them that, from your point of view, the problem is not that you're practicing something outside of Christianity. The problem is that you and they have defilements, and that's a real problem that this world has. And you can point out to them what's going on in the world. Is the world's problems because people don't follow Christ, or is it because people have anger? Is it because people have this or that defilement in them? And you can point out that actually what it seems like the teachings of Christ are very much to purify your mind, to make yourself a better person. So I hope that helps.